Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for joining us on our second day of Learning at Work Week. I'm just going to cover a couple of housekeeping before I hand over to Mike. So we have live transcription today. So if you need that, you can click on the live transcription at the bottom of your screen and you will see that come up on your computer. We also are going to have the chat and the Q&A function. So please feel free to interact with the conversation in the chat. But if you have a question that you would like to cover in the question part of today, then pop that in the question area and we will be able to cover that as we work through. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. So it's so good to be here and so good to have Becky Flint here. It's kind of a funny story. Becky and I overlapped together when we were at PayPal eBay. And when we met each other, it was like, oh my gosh, were you there when this happened and that happened and all the different challenges? Because at that point, eBay and PayPal were fast growing, really exemplars of what the good side of the dot-com growth was. And then I learned that Becky and Julia overlapped at Shutterfly. So Becky is the one common element between Julia and I, which kind of is the lovely glue that holds us together, because the shared experiences around transforming businesses and launching new businesses is one that I think we have a lot in common, and we know the good, the bad, and the ugly with that. And I think it's our hope in this session. We're not going to solve a lot of problems in this session. This is going to be that kind of overview of what Agile means and the role that Agile plays in transforming and solving problems in a dynamic world. And Agile and dynamic, I think, are the strong correlations here. We're in an ever-changing environment in the educational industry, learning and what have you, and ed tech, and we know things are changing, and we now want to drive that change as opposed to that change happen to us. So what happens when you want to intentionally drive change? And at the center of that change is to really be customer-centric. And so Becky's going to talk a lot about I think some of the misconceptions and approaches around Agile, and she's going to share, I think, 4 stories around Agile. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 20 minutes of Becky talking. We'll do 20 minutes of fireside chat between Becky and I and Julia, and then Julia is going to facilitate a Q&A session. But what I thought we'd do is just quickly introduce ourselves. So I'll start. My name is Mike Chudy. I joined Pearson a little over a year and a half ago. And Pearson's my home. I have no desire to be anywhere else, because to me, the center of learning and education starts with Pearson. And I'm excited about what we're creating here at Pearson, and we're bringing the direct-to-consumer mindset into Pearson. And Pearson's had a hugely successful B2B2C model. But what does it mean to have that personal relationship with Pearson, or with a customer? So I've been in the Silicon Valley for about 30 years. I've done both product and user experience. I'm the SVP head of user experience in Pearson.com. And my partner in crime is Julia Gann. I'm going to hand it over to Julia, and she can introduce herself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Julia. I joined about a year and change ago. Feels like just yesterday. Really excited to have Becky here too, and be with Mike, really talking about Agile methodology, a lot of what the good, bads, uglies, and just like anything, when you think about it and how you want to map it out, and then reality smacks you in the face, what do you do with that, right? So I am a VP of operations here in Global Product, and live, breathe a lot of the processes, a lot of things. How do you get stuff done quickly, efficiently, and most of all, have fun while we're doing it? So really happy to see Mike and Becky here, and just share some of our horror stories as well as our successes together. So Becky, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much for the intro, Julia and Mike, and I'm excited to be here. My name is Becky Flint. Currently, I'm the founder and CEO for a company called the Dragonboat, and it's funny, think about Dragonboat, everyone rolling the same direction, right? There's a paddle right here. And it's really also that Dragonboat provide a platform and also a community around Agile, around being responsive. It's around something called the responsive product portfolio management. And the reason Dragonboat came about is really through the learnings and experiences on how company can navigate through the changing world, regardless of big and small. So I'm excited, like Mike and Julia shared, we crossed paths in previous companies and definitely learned and war stories and good things. So want to be very excited here to share with you, and I would love to hear more and be part of the journey. By the way, you guys are rock stars. So my son is 15. He's like, what, you talk to Pearson? That is so cool. So rock star to you. I'm very excited to for the opportunity to be here talking to you. So should we get started?
Sure.
Sounds good.
All right. Let me know if you can see my slide. Are you able to see my slide?
It's kind of black. Try it again.
For a second. Probably take a minute to go through.
It says Becky Flint has started screen sharing. Of course, this is the classic. It worked in rehearsal.
All right, let's try one more time. Okay, so let me try to do. Sorry about that. Like you said, it worked in rehearsal.
There it is.
Okay, it's not perfect, but we're in the Agile world, so you probably still see the browser bar, but I think you get most of it. So I'm Becky. I'm founder CEO of Dragonboat. I'm very excited to share the topic today, really near and dear to my heart, which is around what does it mean to be an Agile organization, and how do we take Agile from companies to companies. And truth to be told, when I was introduced to the term Agile about 18 years ago, I was skeptical. Like, everything's working. What do you mean Agile? What is the difference? And until I came across this quote from legendary management guru Jack Welch, who was the CEO of GE. And as he was saying that, I realized, Agile is more than just the scrums and velocities. It's really around change. And the faster we go, the more changes that we're looking at. So with that said, I would like to share a little bit on the learnings in various companies, how we approach the concept of Agile and the concept of Agile organization. And those learning hopefully will share a little light on what Agile is beyond the terms that we commonly associate with them. So with that said, let's look at the first one. This is where Mike mentioned about the eBay and the PayPal. That is a very interesting story. And when I was actually working alongside the people at the eBay from BillPoint and the PayPal, where the early days of PayPal, eBay was its biggest customer. Little known was that eBay actually also had a competing product called the BillPoint. Well, we probably know by now that you can buy things on eBay, you can pay with the PayPal, and you're done with the transaction, everything's all done and smoothly shipped to your house. Back in the days, where it's still relatively early, that the sellers don't really have a default way of accept payment. So eBay had a joint venture with the Wells Fargo, a very well-known bank, and had this competing product called the Bill Point when PayPal started to gain traction. And obviously, as a smaller startup, and your biggest customer is also competing with you. Your biggest customer had all the resources and access to the customer, and they had a deep domain expertise. PayPal's doomed. You will never win. So what happened was the PayPal product team went out to do research to find out. eBay had a Bill Point. Why you accept PayPal? Why? It's a lesser known, it's a small company. And it turned out that a customer treated PayPal not like another credit card, not another financial product. They treat PayPal as a new way of buying things online. That's easy. Where on the other side, Bill Point, being a known financial player in the market, their understanding of the customer need is a very traditional product need for a traditional financial product, which is safe, which is secure. So PayPal doubled down on ease of use, on user experience, on the checkout, on everything around that. Where is it safe? Is it secure? Maybe not as much on a corner case basis, right? PayPal's more focusing on user experience and really using operations and other means to kind of fill the gap. So from a user perspective, they assume things are safe and secure. So the rest of the history, when PayPal, when eBay really come to pull the plug saying, mandate every seller has to use Bill Point, the sellers actually revolted. They complain, say, we want to take PayPal. We don't want to use Bill Point. So ultimately, eBay acquired PayPal for $1.5 billion back in the days. Actually, they tried 3 times for acquisition. So at the time of acquisition, 70% of the sellers on eBay listed PayPal as the payment option. So you would say, why is this Agile? What have anything to do with Agile? Yes, an Agile organization, think about what your customer care about first and deliver to that. And that's one of the essence of Agile is to prioritize your customer needs. Now, what is uniquely Agile is that the customer needs change, the market change. And when you think about it, that when you offer a new product to your customer, they never see before, they never experienced before, they evaluate it in a different way than what it is for a traditional product. So that's the story of Agile for a new product, which is prioritize what your customer wants, a unique value prop early on. So now the second story I want to share is Shutterfly. Many of you probably know Shutterfly. And Shutterfly started with a stationery company, and it was growing very popular. They have the photo books and the holiday cards and so on and so forth. Then over the years, and the product team and the business team started to realize that, hey, our customers want more than just personalized photo book and stationery. They want a lot of things personalized. So what could they want? It turned out they want everything. They want backpacks and notebooks and lunchboxes, named everything, you name it, and mugs. So we can't not just prioritize one thing and deliver to them. Customers want choice. But we don't have unlimited resources and time. So what do? And the whole company mobilized on this to provide more personalized product to Shutterfly customers. So from marketing to merchandise, the vendor management to product and design, engineering, PMO, all of them come together to figure out how we can get more product, more choices to the hands of the customers. So we started to leverage the existing platform, the engineering, the design, some of the merchandise, and also leverage vendors that can manufacture, produce large quantities and the choices of product so that we can go to market with lots of choices, lots of options. Did some of them fail? Yeah. Did it cause the company to fail? No, because company learned what customer want and give them choices with a smaller amount of investment. As time goes on, we realize that certain products works well, certain products at larger quantity. Then Shutterfly brought them in-house, manufactured in their own facility in the US versus overseas, so you can deliver faster to customers, it will be cheaper, and so on and so forth. So what did this lesson tell us? Is this Agile? Is the Scrum teams involved? Yeah, but the main thing for here is how we think about the customer needs as a way, as the direction we go to, but the essence of Agile here is how we deliver to that iteratively. We could not deliver all product at once in the way we wanted down the road, because we don't know which one scale, which one makes sense. So the way we did it was to break down, to have creative ways to deliver them. It may be more costly for some of them. It could go down later on to be cheaper. But the concept is that we know we're going to fail. We know the direction we're going into. We want to be able to experiment at scale and deliver some of them, even if they are big bets. So some of you probably know that in the early days of Shutterfly, majority of the business came from stationery, came from photo books. I think over the years, that the gifts and the home decor and the personalized merchandise become a pretty significant part of the revenue stream. And then more importantly, the brand of the Shutterfly become a much broader to the customers, because we understand their needs and wants really is personalized expression, and then we deliver to them over the period of time in different means, and then measure how they would improve, and then improve not just the experience, improve also how we deliver this product in terms of scope, scale, and cost, and so on. Now, what if we have to change the course of a company? Their extension, we talk about Shutterfly. We also talk about how you go from small to bigger. What if you're going to change your course? So I want to use this example called BigCommerce. Recently won IPO. Very excited for the company and the team. I was lucky enough to join BigCommerce when they started to be part of the journey, build up their product engineering team in San Francisco, where previously they were only in Australia. So when I joined BigCommerce, we're at a moment of reflection of part of our so BigCommerce is similar to Shopify in a way it provides e-commerce platform for merchants. What we found out is that Shopify is very easy to use. Everything is kind of in the bag. You can see that everything in the box that you have to sign up. It's easy to get everything going. It's simple and intuitive, and so on and so forth. So what BigCommerce wasn't really compete them effectively. It's simple and easy. However, BigCommerce offers a very robust platform. So if you become a bigger and a more complex, having more channels, you sell on Amazon, you sell on Facebook, you sell in multiple channels, and you have promotions, loyalty cards, and so on and so forth, and common to the size of the company, get to the mid and the bigger, not that hobby. And you will need these capabilities where BigCommerce can support very well, where Shopify started to become more expensive, more complex, and with more plugin and so forth. So that's the time when BigCommerce wasn't really compete effectively with Shopify. And the time the team started to do research to find out how the product is adopted, who use BigCommerce, and where value is perceived, we realized BigCommerce is a better position to serve mid to bigger enterprises where the product fits better, the perception is better, the branding is better. So the company decided to change course from focusing on everyone to focusing our segment of the market. So that's a transformation happening right then. With that, we putting together the possible changes we need to happen. It was daunting. You have to change your product, you have to change your sales, you have to change your marketing, you have to change your branding, account management. It's a huge, long list of things. So what do? We took as you can imagine, we took an agile approach. The way we looked at it is really look at the bottleneck to value. We find out if we were to go to focus on the enterprise, mid-price market, what does it mean? What are we lacking? What's blocking us from getting from here to there? So we find out the first thing is that some of our technology, some of our products, some of our APIs needs work. But it would take 5 years to do all the work. So then we figure out a way to chunk into it in half. Be part of the product change, it will be essential. So then we can change our branding. So then we can change our marketing messages. So that we can change our account management. We change the sales. We'll do more product work. We'll do workarounds. We'll do success ninjas and so on and so forth. So sort of similar story in that first is a whole company coming together. We cannot transform and reposition and pivot, whatever you call it, just one team. Many of the teams have to work together. And we cannot just do a big bang because we'll be dead. So we had to pick up the bottleneck and then pick up what we have to do first from one team so the next team can pick up. It's like a play ball, so you're passing the ball along so that we can move forward. So the rest of the history, so BigCommerce really took over the market of mid-price and enterprise. And this year, one IPO, very successful, 4.5 billion IPO. So it wasn't easy, it was very challenging, but we did it. So how do we do it? The way we did it is to continuously improve what we need to get to, while at the same time, we get better every day. So as this illustration, you can see from point A to point B, right? We can take a car. We can wait until the car is built and we get there. Or we have something scrappy. We make a little better progress. So we build a skateboard and then we build the next version of the product, a little bit better, right? And then so on and so forth. So every step away, we make progress and then we improve so that we will get there still a lot faster and before we run out of mileage, before we're out of business. So, and that's the story of how we improve as a company when it's transforming and pivoting in strategy. So, and one of the things that really surprised me is that I thought that agile transformation only applied to a large company, older company, and they need to transform how things are done because they have sort of the baggage of the success, if you will. They have large momentum. And this next story really told me is that even smaller companies and teams struggle with the essence of agile. And this is the startup I joined, a fintech startup. When I joined, it was less than 100 people. And I helped them to build their first product organization from scratch. Before that was just engineering, sales, and so on and so forth. And they sell to some of the world's largest banks. Not only that, they sell to these banks, to some of the versions of the products is sold to the company, to the banks adopted internally. And it was on-prem implemented. So you have a kind of quote unquote one shot. You implement it to them and you won't touch it for a very long time. So then what we were struggling with is we realized we have an agile team who have a Scrum, they do really well, like they have all the sprint done, they have perfect burn downs, they have great velocity, they do the backlogs, everything done perfect, but they're not agile. They are struggling of moving forward and their roadmap is all over the place. So the company brought me in as a part of the process of building a product organization to help them scale. So that was towards the end of the year. So I did their first ever strategic planning. And we had a clear goal. Our goal is to double our revenue and to gain top 100 bank customers globally. So I took the cross-functional executive teams into the strategic planning session. It was the first ever done by the company. And before I start a session, right, so we lay out with the CEO, say, here's our goal. We need to double our revenue. We're going to tackle the top 100 banks. And everyone, you have a pen and paper, write down, what do you think we should do that, right? So we had the head of the sales, head of the channels, and we had the CMOs and CFOs and head of engineering, all the key functions, right? Everyone wrote down how we get to this 2x revenue and gaining top 100 bank customer goal. And then, 30 minutes later, it would flip open. Nobody had the same idea. Everyone had a different idea. You have a brand new product, a brand new solution, brand new market, everything you can imagine it, down market, the SaaS, the product. And they never done a strategic planning ever. So no wonder the Scrum teams are rolling great. No wonder your velocity is great. No wonder your roadmap is all over the place. Because for Agile to run, you need to come together. And there's something very interesting. We call it Agile madness and the misalignment of goals. Just having goals is not going to get us to be aligned, right? This illustration show you, it's like, are we building a bridge? Are we dig a tunnel? And that happens a lot, right? And this is the other thing about the Scrum teams. They're all over the place. And that tells us, and I learned firsthand, even though in theory I knew, but I had to be there to know what is true, which is Agile needs a strategy. We need to not only align on goals, we need to align on strategy, how we get there. We also need to align between our teams, what kind of support we need. Agile needs planning. Agile needs collaboration. So I think ultimately you can see Agile is not a new concept. Agile is how we've been working forever, ever. And Jack Welch was before Agile, but Agile does highlight that we need to work together. We need to have a common goals. It starts with the strategize. We need to have the same general idea, not exactly, but general idea of how we get there, right? And then we need to prioritize, not just prioritize what we think is important. Our prioritization needs to change because our customer change. They value different things. The horses versus the cars, different prioritization altogether, right? And then we need to deliver, regardless that we're transforming, we're pivoting, or we're not. We need to deliver to know what resonates. And deliver also means we don't really have a correct answer. In the Shutterfly example, we knew we're not going to be succeeding all these different products, so that we didn't just put all our money in the bank. We tested, and then we focus on what works, right? And finally improve. So ultimately, every successful company is continuously going through Agile transformation, continuously evolve and adapt. And that's how we call it responsive. We call it responsive product portfolio management. That's the company I started. We really focus on how we work together based on the market, based on the customer, based on the technology, how we respond to the changes and work together cross-functionally. Obviously, program management is my background. So I really think program manager, designer, engineering, all cross-functional teams come together to really adapt to the changing environment and build a truly agile organization. And with that, I'm handed over to Mike and Julia.
Great, thank you, Becky. So I was taking notes as you were talking and writing